Good midday, good midday, good midday, good to midday, good to mid of the day. The day is a good a day. Yes, it is. We are just blessed and highly favored to be able to come and to share with you on today. And our prayer is that God will continue to bless and to keep you, that His face will shine upon you, and that He will be gracious unto you. And so, again, we're glad and grateful and thankful for the privilege of being able to come and to share with you on this wonderful Wednesday. The sun is shining. It's going to be another warm day, but a little bit later, it's supposed to start raining all the way through to the weekend. So they say, hey, we'll see what happens. So we bless the Lord for each and every one that is coming on, and we thank God for those who will be watching later. And we count it a privilege that we would be able to come and to share with you. Excuse me just a second. Need to look at something here. Uh, okay, fantastic. So what I'm working on, and I do apologize for that moment. I have already provided a ton of uh, sponsored tickets, and now I got 15 more. I'm just blown out the water. Okay, Nancy, Minister Sarah, Kathy, good to have you here. Denise, Sabrina, how you feeling? Okay, Chaplain Hearns, Cora, Sharon. So that I got this. We are sold out. That's the end of the conversation. But I do have all of these sponsored tickets. We've gotten quite a few that we were able to give away, but people just became generous and did what they did, and so we're working on getting some more of these young men, and those are the men that we're targeting. Some young men, Shimmy, and some other organizations that are really helping with young people. We are trying to do the very best we can to get them to come. Problem and the issue that I'm having, and I'm going to put out a robocall to some of the men of the church that I know are coming, is if they would be willing to give some of these organizations a hand in picking up some of these young people to bring them to the prayer breakfast. I'm telling y'all, I'm geeked up and excited about what God is doing. Minister Faye, how are you? Ann, good to have you. Cecile, bless the Lord. Ethel, Stephanie, thank y'all so much for being here with us. Listen, we have been doing the prayer breakfast here at UBC for years. Sister Thomas, how you feeling? When I say years, we've been doing it for years. And hey, Tamika. And usually, what happens is you get a couple of people that may sponsor, and then I end up sponsoring 10 to 15 people or something like this. And what I'm telling you, ah, I'm just blessed up. Oh, I'm blessed up. Okay, Elder Clay, how are you? And when I tell you, I'm just overwhelmed. Sometimes, Timothy, when you're laboring and you're laboring and you're laboring and you're working and you're working and you're working and you're working, and sometimes it looks like maybe some folk don't get it, and then all of a sudden, you remember the Million Man March? All of a sudden, the explosion took place. Matter of fact, I got tickets from a church that just told me they got another event going on, and they gave us the tickets. They paid for the tickets, and so it's like, wow, and I can use them. I can use them, and I'm just like, well. So what happens is I don't have to change my count because I have so many tickets that I can now use to bless somebody else. When I tell you, I'm afraid to say what's in my spirit just yet because I'm not sure. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to tell you what we're going to do because the Lord has me changing some of the format that's going to take place. And listen, I can tell you this much: I got black successful entrepreneurs that are coming to this prayer breakfast. Y'all didn't hear what I said. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm just grateful to God. Thank you so much, Janice, for letting us know that everything looks and sounds good. Christy, how are you? And so, well, and I'm gonna tell you what I had a couple of years ago, suited and booted, men of valor. We did the march. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it last year. And the reason I didn't do it last year, hey, Pat, how are you? Is there were so many other things, so many other marches, so many other, and how do I want to say this? And then I'm going to move on. People get stupid when they think that you're competing with them or trying to upstage them or try to do more than them, which to me is the most foolish thing that I don't think like that. In my walk with God, I don't do that. I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I'm not trying to outdo anybody. Not trying to be better than anybody. I'm not trying to have a seat. Hey, Pamela, how are you? I don't do all of that stuff. I do as I am led. Last year, I was led not to do it because there were so many other things going on. And I just didn't want to get out there and have to listen to somebody complain about the fact that, oh, he think he bet. Well, they say that anyway. I really don't care anymore. But the point of the matter is there's going to be one this year. I sense something in my spirit that God is doing. If when the Lord does, I almost said when the Lord does what I believe he's going to do, Lavonda, um, I don't care anymore. And the reason I don't care is because if we can touch people, I remember the criticism Bishop and I got when we do the revival, and God opened a unbelievable door for us for the I Save the Soul of Youngstown tent revival, an unbelievable door open because the land that we were on has been sold, and has been made available to us is 5 times the size of that in the almost in the same area. Y'all not hearing what I'm saying. God will give you favor, but you gotta be found faithful. You gotta be found consistent. Okay, and I'm grateful to God for that. And see, here it's a tough nut to crack because they've been through so much, they've experienced so much negativity, they've gone through so much disappointment. You have to show them something different, but it has to be consistent. And so we're blessing the Lord for that. But let me get to the lesson. Let me get to what I need to talk about. Okay, and I find it amazing because remember I talked about this yesterday a little bit about God never does a great move of Himself except through someone who sacrifices. And then Erica. Any move of God always has specific steps. But I'm going to talk about something because I think this is important because hey, Ayana, in the midst of the steps that actually are getting ready to take place in the life of Nehemiah, wisdom says that when God is getting ready to do a move of himself, I hope y'all ready for this. I want to see if you're ready for this. Wisdom comes when we learn from what failed. Okay. Hey, Carletta, how are you? Listen to what I'm saying. Wisdom comes when we learn from what failed. Sheely, how are you? Wisdom comes when we learn from what fails. Now, Rhonda, Let's see what happens. Let's see. Yes, something happened to the internet. It dropped, it died, but it just came back up. So hold on just a second. Okay, the devil is a liar. I can't stand Spectrum. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They work my last nerve. I've talked to so many people that have so much trouble out of Spectrum. You don't have any sound. Hold on a second. Let me look here and see. Let me look here and see. Testing. Well, oh, I've got sound. Um, and I hate to be that way. I can't stand Spectrum. People are having, hey LaShawn, people are, hey Roosevelt, people are having trouble with Spectrum all over the place, and that's just what happened. Everything just died. It may happen again. I just don't know. Katrina's in the other office. She's working, and all of that. Everything just. I'm so sick of this internet. It's just ridiculous. I'm trying to figure out something else that I can do. Okay. And so I'm going to work on something else. I'm going to work on something. Victor, thank you for getting. So here's what I'm trying to get us to see, and what I'm trying to get us to recognize. And I think this is important. So if y'all could give me like an extra minute or so, um, and I'm just this. Y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me, because I got an attitude and a half. Because as much as it costs to have this foolishness, um, and it fails, and then they tell you they're gonna give you a credit, and the credit never shows up, and and I know for some of us this is all we have. We don't have anything else. We can't do anything else. So here's what you got to remember. That's right. Thank you, Christy. Wisdom comes when we learn from what. Extra 5 minutes? Do I get an extra 5 minutes? Wisdom comes. It's okay, Gladys. The internet went down, so you are right on time. When we learn from what failed. And sometimes what we do and what we forget is that failure. Charmaine, how are you, dear? Failure sometimes is your greatest teacher. And the one thing that I struggle with from time to time, and I'm going to say it, I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, but I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Why is it difficult for us to take what is not working and make something else work off of the wisdom that we learn from what's not working? Do I have 5 people that understood what I said? Five preaching minutes, which is actually 15 minutes. Elder Clay. Why is it so difficult for us to recognize? Because you know what we'll do? We'll beat that horse. We'll beat that horse. We'll say, oh, no, it's going to rise again. The horse is dead. What's actually taking place is nothing that's working. It's not. And I don't know if it's our pride. I don't know if we're ashamed of other people saying that we failed. But I'm telling you, Rose, the greatest learning sessions in my life have been from failures. Maybe not necessarily mine, but observing things that people do that don't work. And I'm always flabbergasted over those who say that it works, but it don't. Where did I get all of that from? If you remember, Ezra, y'all remember this? Ezra had decided that he was going to go, and what he was going to do, he was going to rebuild the walls. But then there's a problem. And the problem is that there are those lords in that area. And when they came together, and the reason they came together to do what they did, these Persian overlords stopped Ezra in their tracks. And the reason they stopped them is because they were afraid of them. Listen, I hope you get this. If you don't get anything else, I hope the internet stays up long enough for you to get this. It's very well could be true that people want to stop your progress, stop what God is doing in your life because they're afraid of you. Your presence could possibly threaten their position. Your presence could possibly threaten their position. And this is the way it was with these Persian overlords. They were not going to let the Jewish nation rise back up again because they knew, hey, Tammy, they knew that if the nation rose, they would have to diminish, and who they think they are will become very evident to everybody else that they are not what they thought they were. And I'm going to say this, that's the reason why I didn't do the suited and booted march and all the rest of that stuff, because I need people to understand, and I'm going to say this, and I don't give a good doggone who like it or who don't. I ain't got to compete with nobody. I don't have to be better than nobody. I don't have to outdo nobody, because what I do because God tells me to do it. And then God also assures that the doing is what he wants done. Did you like that, my friend? You like that? Bishop Thomas, man, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. And Bishop, can we co-sign on this for just a second? When I'm teaching from Nehemiah chapter 2, we see clearly that Nehemiah, he's prayed, he's fasted, he sought God. And before he talks to Artaxerxes, he looked at what happened to Ezra when Ezra decided that they were going to go ahead and do this. And so what Nehemiah did in the requesting of what was needed to do the work, he learned from the failure of Ezra. Lord, help me to teach this like you. Now, y'all did tell me since the internet went down that I got 5 minutes, right? I got 5 minutes. Can y'all gonna give me 5 minutes? And so when Nehemiah goes to Artaxerxes to get permission, he recognized that the Persian overlords must be brought under subjection to Artaxerxes' authority, so that when they get ready to get the timber and the people are getting ready to go and do what they need, I'm not going to do 20 minutes, y'all. Don't chorus us. Do what they needed to do. They would not do to Nehemiah what they did to Ezra. I wish I had it. I wish I had 5 people. I wish I had 5 people that are catching where I'm coming from. And I think this is important. You got to remember, my brothers and sisters, my sisters and brothers, my pastors, my bishops, you got to remember that whenever you do a work of God, and whenever God is in the midst of what you're doing, you will always threaten the seated in positions of authority, because they're not there to help. They're there to overlord. When God elevates you, is so you can elevate others. Lord have mercy. Help me to teach this. When God elevates you, it's because you're going to elevate others. Nehemiah was in pain and struggling and hurting because the temple, the walls had been destroyed, and the walls were designed to protect. And Nehemiah's call was to bring that protection back to the people of God. And those who had taken over, those who thought they were in charge, those who thought they had it going on. Okay. So, Bishop, there is never a solo elevation. And that's been the problem. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it. Because the reason that we as a people can't get elevated is because we're too busy trying to demote one another in an elevation that actually doesn't exist. Let me back up for a second, because I done got crazy. Listen to what I'm saying. Do you understand that whatever position you have in life and whatever you're doing is because the Lord has granted it to you? And I have seen it throughout the time of my life and my ministry, where people will dig ditches, they'll lie on you, they'll do all kind of stuff to you to demean you in front of everybody else, because they recognize that if you get there, you do better than what they're doing where they're at right now. Lord Jesus. So here's what we got to get, and I'm gonna get off of here in 3 minutes. I asked for 5, 3 minutes. I'm gonna get off of here. What does he do? He learned. And here's another point that I need us to understand. Who are you learning from? Are you learning from the perfect? Or are you learning from those who have learned through mishaps, through mistakes, and through trial and error? Because I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you this story. When I first came to Youngstown, Ohio, 29 years ago, there were certain people I sought out. You know who I sought out? I sought out the pastors who had been there much longer than I had been alive, who was able to navigate the issues that Youngstown has and still thrive. And so there were three people. There are three people. Lonnie Simon, E.F.E. Raines, and Morris Lee. Those were the three men. Oh, and I did seek out Bishop Wagner, and I really got in trouble for that, because then all of a sudden they thought I was trying to be like Bishop. But see, you got to remember, when I came to Youngstown not with Bishop's standard, but with the standard the Lord had given me and what I had learned from my pastor. But see, I've also learned something else. A lack of exposure will make you think you're duplicating somebody else, rather than recognizing it could be a move of God that is happening state or nationwide. You don't know anything about it because you haven't been exposed to anything but the place that you've lived. That's one reason why in the earlier years of my ministry here, I took kids with me to the national. Y'all remember 100 and some kids have 2 buses waiting. We flew, we did all of that stuff because I wanted to expose those young people and my congregation so that they could understand that the world was bigger than Youngstown and Warren, Ohio. And you can't navigate what you don't know. Can somebody put that in the chat? You can't navigate what you don't know. I know, Minister Sarah, I know you on top of this. You can't navigate what you don't know. And that's why we crash and burn, is because we don't know how to navigate the situations of life. Nehemiah said, let me look at Ezra. Let me look at this and see what was it that happened that caused that move to stop so my move won't. So he goes, Bishop, you can't navigate what you don't know. And so in the midst of this, he starts asking Artaxerxes for what he needs, predicated on the fact that he saw the deficits that happened in the move of Ezra. Listen, I'm going to stop right there. I want to thank you for giving me this time. I know you're going to get upset with me, but I need to do this so that when we come together tonight for midweek worship, I'm going to add another twist to this so that you can actually see for yourself. And when I use this word successful, don't take it out of context. God wants you to succeed, but he does not want you to succeed without him or in front of him. Because success does not come from your own intellect and ingenuity. Success comes, if you remember, we're talking about prayer. Success comes from how well you listen to the Lord, and then how well you obey his instructions. Listen, I gotta go. I felt like preaching too. I gotta go. Thank you. But so many of you that got on the prayer chat last night, we are trusting and believing God for great things. Thank those who have donated those tickets. We got to make sure that we get an additional 15 young people to come to the prayer breakfast because of your generosity. I'm grateful to God for what God is doing, because I am believing that God's going to do great things. Bishop, you have a great day as well. Love y'all with the love of Jesus, who is the Christ. I'll see y'all at 6:30. I won't see you at 6:30, Bishop, because I know you'll be busy. But for the rest of you, tell everybody else, see you at 6:30 so that we can continue to move on and be victorious as the Lord has called us to be. May God bless you. May he keep you. is our prayer.